Thanks again for joining us, everyone. We really appreciate you being here. My name is Risa Eldon, and I'm here joined with the Haven crew and Ann and Junior. I'll pass it over to you. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to start joining here, and we'll pass it over to you in just maybe of a couple seconds, and you can introduce the crew here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danya. I'm here from Haven. I am Director of Operations over at Haven, which means I have my hands in a little bit of everything. But welcome to today's Behind the Design with Haven Workshop alum Ann Ueno. So excited that you could all join us today, both some of our Haven attendees and I've heard some Haven potential attendees down the road. If anyone does have questions about the Haven workshop, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you at the end of the presentation, and do stick around for a discount code for the fall 2022 workshop. So Ann Ueno is here to share her firsthand experience growing her business post-Haven workshop with the help of Houzz Pro. Ann's interior design firm is a full-service design firm based in Miami, Florida, and founded in 2009. Ann's extensive background in hotels and digital merchandising, along with her appreciation for design all over the world, inspired her to follow her passion and start her own firm. She aims to create uniquely curated and planned spaces, embodying a bold and inviting environment, integrating her design DNA of approachable luxury living. With projects nationwide, AUID projects have been featured in South Florida Luxury Guide, on graymalin.com, The Haven List, and Saks.com, and Miami Home Show, just to name a few. She's paving the way for interior design communities in the Southern Florida community and beyond. Today's webinar is hosted by Risa Eldon and Chloe Siegman of Houzz. They are here to guide us along the way and give us the scoop on all things Houzz. So without further ado, I will ask for Ann, Risa, and Chloe to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us. Thanks for the awesome intro. We love partnering with the Haven crew, and thanks so much for having us here today. I run industry partnerships here at Houzz, and you already got a great intro, but you can say hi.
Hi, everybody. This is good. I mean, it's going to be a great conversation, but clearly the heroes are Haven and Houzz Pro. So.
You're so sweet. And Chloe, I'll pass it over to you really quickly just to introduce the audience to you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Chloe. I have been with Houzz for about 8 years. I work with a lot of professionals like yourselves and like Ann. I had the opportunity to actually go to a Haven workshop recently, which was so fun, a great experience. I hope all of you get to go and attend. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having this conversation with Ann today and showing you guys a little bit more about Houzz Pro.
Yes.
Great. Yay. All right. Well, let's dive right in, Ann, here, and just kind of set the tone for how today is going to run. We tried to schedule this kind of at lunch hour before you're picking up your kids from school. This session is going to be recorded. So if you have to dip out, don't worry. We will be sure to send you the recording. If you do have questions, please, this session is for you. We want you to learn from us today. Ann is the expert. We're just here to ask questions and kind of understand how her business grew. I think you said 7 times since you went to the Haven workshop pre-pandemic. In the pre-pandemic era, PPE is how I like to refer to those times. Had a lot of time to sit with yourself and, pivot and figure out how to take your business to the next level. But if you do have questions, this is an interactive session. Please ask questions throughout. There is a Q&A button in the top right-hand corner that you should see. Feel free to, pop your name in there and test out the button. Definitely want to make sure that we get all of your questions answered. And then we will be sharing our contact information after this session so that you can get in touch with us. Does that sound good? Ready to boogie? Cool. Okay, well, Ann, I'm so excited to be seeing you again. I feel like we first met in person at the Haven Workshop in October of 2019, right? We're going to give the timelines here.
Exactly right. Yes.
And I think that was one of the first Haven workshops. We had Lindsay Brooke design there. We had Lindy Galloway. We had such a good lineup, such a fun, I think Ryan Garvin was there, Ryan.
Yeah. Kate Lester was there.
So fun. And we were so lucky to kind of, the whole idea with our original community back in the day was creating these groups for you to be able to have resources and have that community and be able to bounce ideas off of each other. And I think that expanded from just our Facebook group to this in-person meeting where you could build that sense of community. Now, talk to us a little bit about how you found Haven, how you found Houzz, and your early beginnings.
Yes. Thank you so much. This is so fun. So a friend of mine actually knew that I wanted to take the deep dive and quit my corporate job and be an interior designer. And she saw another friend of hers promoting the workshop. And so she sent me a message on Instagram. She's like, Ann, you have to go to this. And I came from the hotel industry and I was like, based on the location and the hotel, I'm going to that workshop because it's stunning there. And it just looked like the most perfect agenda for somebody who was new, starting, eyes wide open, a little bit like deer in the headlights. I need help. And it felt manageable because it was small. I think it's 30 people-ish attend, if I'm not mistaken. So it didn't feel intimidating to me. So I signed up and it was only a few months after I officially started the business. I've been designing for over a decade, but officially I opened the doors in 2019 in February. And so I go to this conference thinking I came from corporate. I know the business world. I have a good foundation, but I need to learn more. And within the first hour, probably, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. This is really good that I'm here because I'm going to learn so much. And so I'll never forget one of my favorite stories at Haven, apart from Risa meeting you and Houzz Pro changing my life, which we're going to get to. I was sitting at the dinner table the first night, and it was Kate Lester, who those of you who are on who don't know Kate, she's an incredible designer out in California. Follow her if you don't. She's who we all want to be when we grow up, even though I think I'm the same age as her. She's amazing. So she's sitting at my table and we're chatting, and I start talking about how I give my discount. It's a sales pitch for me to give my discount to potential clients. And everybody at the table stopped and looked at me, and I'm like, what? They're like, no, don't do that. And, I was completely mortified, but I was like, I'm going to bring my humble self because that's what I'm here to do, learn. And it was in that moment, we actually started talking about Houzz Pro. And another, I think it wasn't you, Risa, but somebody had already been using Houzz Pro, and they said, Houzz Pro is a really easy tool for a lot of reasons, but you can manage all the commissions and everything in the tool. And so that was one of my first learnings, an hour in over a glass of wine, getting totally embarrassed in front of everybody. Yeah, it was great.
No, I love that. So you would say, okay, that was October of 2019. When did you officially start your business?
Officially started in February of 2019. So quit my corporate job of 16 years, and business was doing well enough, I should say, for me to do this full time. So I quit, and I probably learned about Haven a few months after because the marketing was a few months before. So yeah. And then we joined forces in October of 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
And now we're at February. What month are we in? We're in May of 2022. I had to rethink that. And how would you say, where you were when you went to the Haven workshop in October and where you are now, going through a pandemic? What key learnings could you apply, and how did you pivot and shift your business? And what were your key takeaways to be able to survive a pandemic?
okay, so that was a lot of things. So let me talk about, so I think honestly, like one of the main reasons that my business was able to like start in a good place and grow 7 times is truly because of Houzz Pro. Like having a system as your backbone of your business. And you guys at the Haven Workshop, there's a whole section, a few hour session on processes and how important it is. And I think back about like, had I not gone to the Haven Workshop and I think about where I would be today, well, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I say that with true authenticity and, you know, because the people I met, I'm actually in a couple of weeks going to lunch. I'm still in touch with the whole community that I went with. Houzz Pro, like the changes you guys have made since October of 2019, like you're growing with us and you guys listen to our needs, which is incredible, right? So I think about, you know, having that system, having the community from the Haven Workshop, all of those things brought me here. And I say this now I coach people now on this. I'm like, literally, I coach, like, invest in yourself, like do the hard work, pay the money, go take time away and invest in yourself, in your business with eyes wide open so you can get those learnings, because I wouldn't be 7 times, you know, the revenue if I didn't attend that. And truly, I say that because of all the systems and processes that Houzz Pro brings to the table. And at any given moment, it just happened. I'll give you a real life example. A week ago, my team and I are level up is our theme of 2022. And I said, okay, we need to level up some of our design presentations. And I literally went into the group, my former Haven list girls. And I was like, you guys, if anyone's willing to share with us, like your full design presentation that you give to your clients, including like elevations, renders, the whole thing, I would be immensely grateful. So I don't have to start this whole thing from scratch. I mean, we have one, but it's not amazing. So instead of, you know, spending all this time and energy creating it ourselves, work smart, not hard, use the people you've met. It's an incredible community. In a minute, I got 3 responses. Here's mine. Go ahead, take it, use it. Like, you know, do what you want with it. And like already like that made us grow. It saved us time. Speaking of like, all the benefits of the Haven List and Houzz Pro, it's like a ton of time saving and leveraging the people. So I just like to answer your question, how from October 2019 till May, like I'm a real business with a real studio. I have people working for me. We have multiple streams of revenue. We have so much fun. We've learned so much. We've made so many mistakes. And, you know, we use Houzz Pro. It's on our desktops and on our phone, like all day, every day. Every meeting I have, it's always open. And so, yeah, I'm forever in debt to Houzz Pro and the Haven Workshop, to say the least.
We'd love to hear that. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
And how has your team grown since you were, you know, just formulating your business in early 2019, and now here we are? What does your team look like? What does the structure look like?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I remember there's a session on hiring at the Haven Workshop. I swear you guys, these aren't like planted questions, just so everyone knows, like, this is like real conversation we're having here. Grab a glass of wine, it's lunch, okay? So, there was a session on hiring, and in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be a solopreneur. Like, I never thought about expanding a team. And so I sort of didn't fully, I mean, I paid attention during that session, but it wasn't the thing I went to the Haven Workshop for. But I had notes, right? And I revert to those notes all the time. And I'll never forget one of the things that they said. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but I think it was Lindsay who was presenting. I can't remember, or maybe it was Lindy Galloway. I can't remember. But they said, when you hire, it's a revenue stream, right? It's incremental revenue to your business. It's not an expense. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't have an MBA. Do I need an MBA for that? Because it's not adding up like mathematically. And so fast forward, as my business started growing, actually during the pandemic, like a lot of designers, and we could touch on that, Risa, as well. I know you had asked that earlier, and I remember I had this moment, like, I have a choice right now. I either am going to have to say no to clients and keep my business like just me, or let me get back to remembering what those women taught in the Haven workshop and some other women mentors that I have and business people that I'm around, like, I need to hire somebody. And I'm like, but I don't really have a budget and a rep. Like, how does this work? And I just said, you know what, I'm going to figure this thing out. I hired a part-time contractor and who's now my lead designer. She's been with me for a year and a half. And also my business has doubled year over year since hiring her. I don't think that's a coincidence. So for everybody out there, if you're sitting there today and you're, wondering if you should hire, you're in this spot, it is a massive incremental revenue stream, right? Because your billable hours, you're going to, pay for the person at X amount of hour and you're going to bill your client at Y. And then there's a profit in there and it allows you to expand your business. So that moment I realized, like, I don't want to be a solopreneur anymore. I want to be a small business owner and expand this thing and give other people an opportunity to be a designer. Right? So I'm making other people's dreams come true, just like the Haven list made some of my dreams come true. Like, I want to pay this thing forward and grow this thing and scale this thing and ultimately make really beautiful homes and environments and spaces for people to live their best lives. So
I love to hear that. Scaling your business is one of the scariest things, scaling in terms of hiring, that you can do, but one of the best investments in yourself to take that leap of faith if you really want to march forward. It's fine if you want to keep your business, one person and you want to be outsourcing some things. But if you have financial goals and you want to hit those financial goals, the only way that you can do that is by scaling, by hiring, by implementing systems and processes. Once you have those systems and processes in place for you, the hiring isn't as hard because you have a process that they can follow, so that they can get the job done and you can take more jobs on, right? Or you could break into other facets of your business.
100%. Like, I literally was like, what is the one thing I want everyone to hear today? Hopefully you guys are hearing a lot of things, but I wrote it down. Risa, we're good at this because, again, this is not planted, but there's this incredible book by an author named Michael Gerber. I recommend it for any entrepreneur. And he says in the book, systems run the business and the people run the systems. So for me, I've had this moment of, if I'm going to scale, if I'm going to grow, I need the right systems, because you're not hiring me, Ann Ueno, when you hire my firm. You're hiring the business of Ann Ueno. You're hiring the systems. And then my people, and me included, we're going to run those systems. And Houzz Pro is the backbone system of any interior design firm. Like, again, I say that because of the amazing capabilities, right? There's everything from incredible reporting to time tracking for my team, to invoicing, to drafting proposals, to having an amazing product library, being able to draw space plans within a system, having a CRM management system. Everything is in there. So of course, there's incremental systems we need. It doesn't do every single thing. I mean, it is a little bit of a unicorn, but not a full unicorn. However, it is really, for me, I'd say 85% of everything that I need to run my business. So systems run the business, the people run the systems. And so again, as an interior designer, entrepreneur, or a small business owner, or somebody who's looking to scale and grow, it's the best system for that.
Question, Ann, from the audience here. Once you hired that first person, did you already have an office space where you both would work on site? That's a good question.
That's a great question. No, I just actually finished my first studio space. It's small, but amazing. No, we worked remote. It was during the pandemic, so we were working remote anyways. And we kept it that way for, our studio just got completed. We just finished the renovation like 2 months ago. So, and we only actually technically work out of my space 1 full day a week, because the rest of the time they're either working from home or we're off site. We're at, on client appointments, site inspections, meeting with vendors, etc. So I made a financial decision that I don't want to invest in like a big brick and mortar, for right now in my business, to have a massive office space, because when I look at my day-to-day, 50% of my time is not even here. It's out and about. So that was the decision that I made.
Makes sense. And I'm glad that we brought this question up. Thank you, Jen, for asking that question. Because I really wanted to understand a little bit, because it can be scary to start investing in yourself after what we just went through. What were the signs that you knew you would be okay during the pandemic and that you knew you needed to grow? And where did you feel, or maybe you didn't feel this because you already had your systems and processes lined up, where did you feel you were the most bottlenecked in terms of workflow?
Well, I will say this to start on that last point. We're an imperfect business and we don't have the perfect systems and processes. Like Houzz Pro does so much, but it could be working harder for us. So now we're having meetings internally, like what else does that tool offer us that we're not using? So we're constantly improving our process. If I'm being completely honest, process is, in my opinion, the hardest part of business. And it's actually my weakness. I am not a process. I am a creative entrepreneur. I want to have an idea and run after it and go and like design and look at beautiful things and run the business and look at the P&L, and like finance is a passion of mine. So the process, I'm like, oh, it's daunting. So we're constantly improving there. So if anyone's listening and you felt like maybe, that's a weakness of yours, you're not alone. And I really believe this. I take a ton of business classes. Everyone has similar issues, even in different industries. But I think for me, it's all about growth. If I'm continuously getting better as my business is growing and I'm stopping to invest in the right processes and learning new aspects of Houzz Pro or whatever that looks like, that's my end goal, just growth. Because I'm not perfect. I can't do all the things all the time. So point number one on processes and systems. That said, the question was, I'm sorry, I want to repeat the question.
The question was just focusing on the pandemic when you knew you'd be okay and that you needed to grow and where you were the most bottlenecked in terms of workflow.
Yeah. So the pandemic, like a lot of designers, it caused us to be busy. Like there was a season for a few months where our clients, at least on our part, everyone had a panic moment. And so we had some clients either not sign that we're about to sign, or the existing clients said, hey, we're going to pause for a little bit. And that was daunting. Right. And then I had faith. Like I knew like God has me here for a reason. I am going to be an interior designer. We're going to see this thing through. So I didn't worry too much. And then sure enough, I don't know, 4 or 5 months after the pandemic, it was like a water hose of business coming in. And because people have been in their house. Again, this is not a new story to anybody. And so for me, the bottleneck was I don't have enough people. I don't have enough systems and processes right now. How am I going to manage this business? And then I had to think, okay, who's my next hire? And actually my next hire after that was an accountant and a bookkeeper, because I was spending my time doing accounting and bookkeeping and not designing. And, so I had to make decisions along the way, like what's the most important thing? And the other thing that has been happening, it's still happening because we're still very busy, is the ecosystem of vendors. Because all the vendors are busy. All the tradesmen, all the tile installers, all the mill workers, all the GCs, everybody's busy. So we've been really pushing hard to make sure our ecosystem is tight and that we're, we keep these people that are working hard for us close to us. And then we're going to refer them the business and everyone's going to be happy and everyone wins in that case because they're getting trustworthy vendors. So that was another bottleneck. I'll call it I have to make sure that my vendor relations are really on point. Because if not, all this work that's coming in, who's going to do it? Because we're amazing. We're great at designing, but we don't execute it. We're not there installing the tile and we're not there, unpacking the boxes. Well, sometimes we are, depending, but
I was just going to say, you're the middle woman, and you have to keep those relationships to keep the engine running. And I think that brings up a really good point, is that these vendors, these contracts, everybody's so busy. Why are they going to say yes to you versus saying yes to somebody else? If you run a tight ship and they know that they like you, they want to work for you, they want to pull in a favor, they don't need to work with everybody. People are learning to say no.
Exactly.
And so many, just like you should start saying no to some of your potential customers, clients that aren't maybe the right fit. vendors can say no to you. And a question just came in, actually, Ann, from the audience. How do you find good furniture vendors and negotiate those deals to increase profitability on sales? So that's another element to it. Is not only finding vendors that want to work with you, but finding vendors that are going to be profitable for you. I don't like to call it markup. I like to call it purchase fee. But what does that look like for you? And that actually can even segue into what we were going to talk about later about, how you're leveraging Houzz Pro to streamline all of those mathematical equations so that you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah. So I'm going to give a response that's probably going to be unpopular on this one. So we have our ecosystem of furniture vendors that we use. And it's funny because this just came up this week from a potential client that wants to hire us. We actually don't focus our design based on a vendor on the furniture side, on a specific vendor. We start our design based on what we think is going to be the best for the client. And I say that with full transparency, because clients have come to us are you just going to go to, we're in Miami and there's a lot of very chachi furniture stores where a chair is, $12,000. And a lot of designers in South Florida, that's how they're making most of their money. And so they have scared a lot of clients as such. And so we've gotten clients coming to us, our designer didn't work out, or we didn't like what she was saying about the markups. And, she wants to have us buy a $7,000 chair. So we actually, our ecosystem of furniture vendors is pretty wide because I design for the client. We design, that's what we say, no ego amigo is one of our brand values. We're going to design for them based on their needs, based on what they've told us that they want. And if that is West Elm pairing with Four Hands, we're going to pair a retailer with, a wholesaler. And ultimately the revenue comes in and there's still profitability, but I can sleep at night knowing I'm not driving this thing profit first. We're people first, profit second. So that's super important for my business and my ethics and all of that we're doing that. And we're fully transparent also in our investment guide and with clients about our purchase fees or commissions, however you want to say it. We say right in there with our, somebody might want to know this answer. So I'll give it. Maybe you don't, but I'm going to give it anyways. So we say in our investment guide, we have relationships with these vendors and we get anywhere from a 25 to 45% commission on these products. We're not passing that through to you. It's our revenue that we bring in to run the business. We're 100% transparent. So it's never really an issue. And if it's an issue for them and they want to use another designer, they absolutely can. So I don't know if that exactly answered the question, but we run it a little bit differently. And a lot of designers look at me like I'm crazy. How do you make any money? I'm like, we're making money. We are. So yeah.
Would you say, sorry, just to get technical, your gross profit margin, have you worked with your accountant to find that magic number and what that sweet spot is for you?
On commission specifically?
Yeah.
I would say it's around probably 20%. And I would argue other designers is probably 35%. So they're probably saying Ann, you're leaving money on the table. Maybe, but the jobs that we get continue to get bigger and better, and the relationships. And the other thing to keep in mind, this year alone, our repeat client business is at 40% right now. That's 40% of our clients right now are repeat clients. And of that, not of the repeat clients, but in addition to that, I would say probably another 40% of our business is referrals. So we're just growing and growing and growing. We want to do the right thing. And I have to make money, of course. I have to run this business, and we are. But our profit margin is probably a little bit lower than that of other designers.
That makes sense. Everybody figures their own sweet spot out, and I think that's okay. You do what works for you, and then you have a different facet of your business where you have your business consulting. So that drives revenue.
Exactly. And things might change. I think that's the other thing about running a business and growing a business. You do something for a season. You have a way to do business for a season, or, and a season could be a year, it could be 18 months, it could be 5 years, and then you might change. So I might change one day and get into fully custom furniture, right? And that's maybe something that, will be a new revenue stream for us, or a bigger revenue stream for us, rather. Like, business changes. And so I'm not saying that like this is the only way we're going to do it forever and ever. Amen. Like, no, but we have figured out this sweet spot that we're in right now with the kind of clients that are coming to us, and it's working. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how you've leveraged technology, and Chloe can dive a little bit deeper and show some visuals. How you've leveraged technology to streamline your process from hiring to maybe even firing. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But hiring and scaling and growing, and key features that you feel like you've used for your proposals, your invoices, your time management, so that you can be efficient and that you can feel comfortable delegating. I'm not going to say I'm a micromanager, but kind of. I don't know if you're a micromanager, but like, I know a lot of your business is like your baby. And how do you feel comfortable delegating certain tasks so that, you can be out there doing business dev and somebody out there can be doing the administrative piece of the business?
Yeah. So it's a work in progress, but when I had the realization of I'm going to go from solopreneur to small business to scaling this thing even bigger, you can't be a micromanager. In fact, I'm taking a business class right now at Miami-Dade College. And yesterday we had class and the teacher said, if you want to grow and scale, you can't design. Like, you got to teach your design to all your people, and then you're going to be the business owner. So that's what I'm working towards. Now, this isn't like in the next year that's going to happen. This is as I grow and as I learn and all of that. But Houzz Pro, specifically on hiring, we sit and we do a training on Houzz Pro when a new employee comes in. It's part of their onboarding. And the training is relatively easy. And the best part is, if I need to have like somebody from Houzz Pro jump in, one of my reps, to explain anything, they can. But we do it because it's like, I always describe training a new employee to Houzz Pro as like opening an iPhone. When you go to Apple, you get the iPhone, there's no instructions, right? Because it's that intuitive. I feel the same about Houzz Pro. I would say 90% of the capabilities, you don't need instructions. So it's more about navigating it. And here's all the informing of all that it can do. So it's incredible because right out of the gate, it's like, okay, here's how you develop proposals for, after we finish the designs. Now I'm moving to a place, I'm not involved in that process anymore. My team is. So we create proposals. We show them how to, create the proposals, convert to purchase order, convert to invoice, work with the client directly. They pay. You get alerts on all of this. Super intuitive. It could not be more intuitive. You have your product library. It's amazing. And then one of the best things about when you develop your proposal, and this is something that I mentioned in the beginning, that, I used to give away my commission to clients. It was a sales tool. I don't recommend that for everyone on the phone. It's your revenue to keep. And so don't give it away. Figure out the model that works for you, but don't give it to the client. It's a privilege, right? Like, we work hard for that money. And so, but I gave it to the client. So I wasn't doing anything. And then I was like, okay, this is after the Haven workshop. I hadn't fully signed up with Houzz Pro yet. I think I signed up like a few weeks after. And I remember going back, I'm like, I'm going to create Excel spreadsheets and figure out this commission thing. And I don't even know how, though. It's not possible. And then Risa, you were like, why would you do that? It's all in the system for you. You create, you put a product in, and it tells you, like, you put in the price and you can mark it up 20%. You can share with the client what the retail price is, what their price is, so they can see their savings, which is amazing, right? All of our wholesale products, they're getting a deal on, because if it cost us $100, it costs the rest of the world $150, and they're getting it for $125, and that's transparent for them in there. So they feel like, gosh, this is a value that I'm hiring a designer. She's sourcing, or he or she is sourcing incredible products for me that are unique and different. And I'm getting it for less than what I could have on the street, so to speak. So that functionality alone helps bring the client the value of what we offer, but it also helps us track the commissions, and actually has a process. We have a process for it. So now we can make more money. I always tell, like, when people ask me about Houzz Pro, I'm like, literally within like 3 weeks, I made, like, I don't know what I paid for the first year of Houzz Pro, but I made all that money back in a few weeks, literally. just by like one purchase, right? From, having a commission model that I didn't have before going to the Haven list and getting Houzz Pro.
Yeah. And I remember that's such a good point. And I remember back in the day, like we're talking, God, even people that were at the Haven workshop that were speaking didn't even have a business. I won't say who the names are, but I remember them being like, I can't afford this. Let's pretend like it was $500 for the year. And they're like, I don't even have a business yet. And I'm like, well, even if you were only billing out $100 an hour, if you offset the cost of this software, let's say it was $500 and you charge an hour of project management fee to 5 clients, that covers the cost of the software. Yeah. And obviously, they made their return on investment very quickly. And these are women that have incredible businesses. Like you can't even imagine where their business was, 6 years ago and where they are now. And I think it all goes back to that leap of faith as well, and believing in yourself and investing in yourself and having the right systems and the right technology in place. And like we said, I've seen people in the very beginning, they were using QuickBooks. QuickBooks isn't specialized for the way that interior designers work. I don't know about you, but I'm not a mathematician. When I was running an interior design business back in the day, I didn't want to have a separate Excel spreadsheet with the QuickBooks spreadsheet with this spreadsheet. I wanted the system to do all of the math for me. And I wanted to have the beautiful picture, because not only is the math important, but it's also the presentation with tear sheets and the visual room boards, for you to not have to go into a separate system and be able to, with the click of a button, generate that presentation and then go to the client and look really professional. Fake it till you make it. Even if you didn't have a business back then in 2019, you're not like showing Excel spreadsheets and seeming to be really rudimentary. I remember when we first started in 2016, there was a woman that said, Risa, thank you so much. My client asked me if I created the software myself. She thought I was so professional. And I was like, yes. You go, girl. Like, you just do whatever it takes. And she's like, little does she know this is my first job. And I think that's what's so incredible is we've been able to watch your business flourish from, just even the past 3 years and see all that you've accomplished. And being able to share your knowledge and your resources is so incredible, because when you implement this early on in your business, you can hit the financial goals that you want to hit, right? Your business model might be different than somebody in California, who doesn't matter. The idea is you're sharing and figuring out what's going to work best for you and what's going to work best for your employees and the way that they learn and can adapt a new system.
100%. And I would say, I was going to mention, I think a lot of people might know this about me, but I'm self-taught. Like I don't have an MBA. I went to college for advertising and I minored in economics. Okay. And then I spent 16 years in the hotel business and decided to quit and be an interior designer. I don't know AutoCAD. I still don't know AutoCAD. I don't use SketchUp, none of the tools. And I know I'm not alone, because I talk to a lot of people, and when that's a fear going like, I'm going to go do this thing, but I don't know how to do any of it. I just have a belief in myself that I can. Like a lot of people are like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? I'm like, yeah, maybe, but I'm going to be smart about the resources I'm bringing in. One of them being Houzz Pro, one of them being, what I love about another thing about Houzz Pro is speaking of QuickBooks, the integration. So I now have a bookkeeper who specializes in interior design, by the way, which is amazing because she knows more than I do. And those two systems talk to each other. So I don't have to really ever get involved. Once a month, I have a call with her for an hour, where before I was spending hours on this, to your point, Risa, like spreadsheets and calculating my taxes. And I'm like, do I pay tax? I don't even understand. Like, do I pay taxes? Like, I don't get any of this. And I do now, fortunately. But your sales tax, by the way, I learned that. I learned so much at the Haven list because I remember that exact conversation. And so, yeah, it's critical for sure.
Yeah. And then before we have Chloe kind of dive in, Chloe's going to do a quick presentation for us, for you guys on the line. I know I see some more questions. I promise I will get to them. Any other key features that you wanted to recommend that you use in Houzz Pro that helped you getting started back in the day?
Yeah, I would say, again, the proposals, the invoices, the time tracker. That's been huge for our team. When you guys launch, and I don't remember the date, I'm sure one of you can jump in on it, the space planning tool. And now there's, even more where that came from. But again, somebody who's self-taught, I'm like, this is incredible that there's an easy way to plan out a room in minutes. So back to another benefit of Houzz Pro, it saves so much time, which you can't, unless you're tracking the time you save, which I don't have time to track the time I'm saving because that's ridiculous. But that in of itself pays, like, it's not an expense thing. If anyone says they can't afford it, like, call me directly and I'm going to talk you off that ledge. But all of that time saving for my team and me, I was like, oh my gosh, like I drew a wall and here's the dimensions and here's where the bed goes. Like I would download like free apps on my phone. Like what's the best space planning tool? Like it was horrendous. And I had to be professional and I had to fake a lot of this stuff until I made it. But Houzz Pro is letting us not fake it. You guys are giving us everything that we need, especially if you didn't go to design school. That's what's like, to me, there's a shift in Houzz Pro because it's a business tool first and foremost, but I think it's becoming a creative tool as well, which is music to my ears and to my team.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no, that makes sense. Cool. And let's actually go ahead and Chloe, have you share your screen and maybe dive a little bit deeper into these. You can kind of also play it back. And if there's anything you want to add as Chloe's showing you these things that you feel like you can give.
Feel free to chime in. Absolutely. And Ann, thank you so much for just walking through everything. So helpful to hear your story and hear how your business has evolved. So super exciting for you and for everyone else on the line to kind of learn and see your success. But yes, let me go ahead and I will share my screen and just give you kind of a high level overview of Houzz Pro. Maybe this is the first time some of you guys are seeing this, which I am so excited to show you. So as Ann had shared, what Houzz Pro is really designed to be an end-to-end solution. So you name it, I bet you we have it. So whether it be that you're looking for a website, you're looking for a way to curate and find your products more easily, build documents, send email marketing campaigns. There are so many things that are comprehensive in Houzz Pro. So for me to show you every little thing in about 10 minutes is going to be a challenge, but I do want you to at least have a visual into what Ann's been using where she's found some success with her business. So I think first and foremost, the things that I want to point out are, I know there's a lot of conversation on, taking your business to the next level, adding team members, delegating. This is something that you do have in Houzz Pro. So you can, of course, add different team members. I'm just going to pop into my demo account here, but you can add many, many team members depending on what program you decide to invest in. But kind of, again, delegating, you can assign projects to different team members. You can collaborate with subs. You can assign different leads and inquiries to your team members to work on, which is always, a fantastic thing when you're trying to stay organized. But where, of course, like the projects start, and I know, Ann, you use this yourself, but we have, of course, a CRM. Some of you may not know what that is, but that's a client relationship management tool. So staying on top of your inquiries, whether they come from Houzz or they come from somewhere else, you need to know where your biggest return on investment is so you can continue to invest in those avenues. So whether it be social media, whether it be you're closing, 40% of your business from referrals like Ann, you want to know that and you want to track that history. So having this tool is so easy. Your inquiries can be added manually one at a time. They can be imported a whole maybe Excel sheet that you use today and load them in. It's very simple. There's even an extension for Gmail that makes all of this just seamlessly integrate with what you're already using. But you can see from my screen, you can actually, update the stages so you can stay sorted. You can kind of pop in and schedule like, oh, I need to touch on my ones that I followed up with last week and find out where they're at today. You can do all different types of things as far as sorting the inquiries, searching for a specific lead to just help you stay organized. So this is a really wonderful tool that I know a lot of our community loves. And within these inquiries, I think one of the things that Ann had mentioned, saving time is so important. And I don't know about you, but even in my life, in my line of work, I tend to send the same emails over and over and over again. So maybe you're doing like a client intake form or you ask specific questions and you let them know about your business. one of the things that I really do love about Houzz is you can actually add in your own templates for emails that you can save. So then you're so much faster getting back to people, and you're very thoughtful, and you can use tokens to make them seem like you're really spending a lot of time sending a personalized email, because you're just being smart with the technology that's there for you. So these are just some really quick tips on our CRM that I think are super helpful. All right. So above and beyond that, when you're converting one of these amazing inquiries into a project, I know Ann had mentioned, using a library and sourcing your products and having a place to build all these documents. So one of the things that I know many, many designers love is the Houzz Pro Clipper. And that is a Chrome extension. And you can see from a page like Houzz or many other vendors, we have smart sourcing enabled, which pulls in so much information for you. So you don't have to manually keep track of a library, and it starts just funneling it in. And it's so simple to use. So you can fill in all the details on the right with what you want stored in your library. You can hand pick what you also want to, and you can see from this little button that I'm clicking, it's so smart in knowing as I'm highlighting what is it that I want to have it added to. So it just makes it really seamless. So it's actually super, super fun too, to just go kind of shopping online, curate that library. And it's also easy as you spend years with us on Houzz that, prices may change, or things may change with a certain, something that you saved in your library 2 years ago, that price is now different. When you're building that document now, 2 years later, you can update your library and it will all sync together. So very seamless tool. That's kind of how you get started using Houzz Pro when you're curating different items. And of course, services can be added too. So let's take a look at what some of these documents look like. To Ann's point, sounds like, building proposals and invoices and all those things have definitely helped change her business. So I'm just going to pop into one as an example. We can see how easy it is. So if I just click this proposal button, I'm going to just click from scratch. And here, this is kind of where the magic happens of making all these things kind of come together. So if I just click add items and get to work here, you can see all the things that I've curated in my library over time. So with just a couple clicks of a button, I can add on all those things. I can also add in custom services for, whether it be an installation fee or electrical work for a lighting fixture that I had sourced. All those things you can have and just really make it your own that operates well for your business. Some other things that Ann had mentioned that she really enjoys is, having some help with like markup and different things on your documents. Not, maybe not loving to do the math, which I absolutely am that same person myself. So here you can actually choose to toggle on and off different items that you would like to see. You can move them back and forth. You can show description and images. But when you go in, all these things can just be easily updated with just clicks of buttons. That makes it super simple. And again, you can save those updates to your library as you move along. So whether you want to be as transparent to your clients like Ann, or if you want to hide certain information, all of that is at your disposal within Houzz Pro, which makes it easy. So with a couple other clicks of a button, I'm just going to show you a couple other things. And I know we're running through things quick, but we'll have some resources here at the end for you too. I just want to make sure you kind of high level see a couple of these easy clicks of a button of things I'm going to do. So I just approved this proposal on behalf of my client. From here, again, a simple click. I can create an invoice directly from my proposal. I can see the documents where it's linked to, where they originated from. If I want to go back and forth and see what changed from that proposal phase to when I invoiced and collected the money, all that history is saved within the documents on Houzz. So of course, you can continue to make changes. You can update those settings. When you're sharing out documents, you can send them directly from Houzz, or you can send them from your email. But one other thing that is really wonderful about Houzz is a client dashboard, which hopefully I have a second to show you. So you can create POs from here too. Again, just a simple click of a button. You can sort by the vendors that you source from, separate creating your POs so you can measure those expenses versus your profitability, and look at all those reports when you need to, because we know that, the math part ain't fun all the time. So when you're creating your POs, will generate a tracker for you. You can see the different stages. But one of the things that's relatively new to Houzz that we're super excited for is our project tracker. So to Ann's point, vendors and working with them can be quite challenging, especially in today's day and age, and knowing where things are at and being super communicative with your clients too. Like, hey, where's that sofa? I've been waiting on it for 6 months. What's going on? You have a really great tool now within Houzz where you don't have to have those separate Excel sheets, I hope. Where you
Chloe, that's a good question. And has this ever saved the day for you with a client with project tracking and lead times right now? Is this a feature that you use and that your team leverages?
It's a great question. We are not leveraging it right now, but we are having meetings internally. Literally, I'm like, as we speak, and my team is on, and they're gonna all be nodding their heads because we're like, if we're using 70% of Houzz Pro, pretty soon it's going to be 100%.
Yeah,
so
Ann just got access to this. So it is a brand new feature on Houzz. And to Ann's point, I mean, honestly, we're changing and evolving so often because we want to hear your feedback and we want to make it what you want. So yeah, this is a brand new addition where you can really customize this, make it your own. I'll show you quickly how you can kind of hide different columns. You can create new columns. You can sort them in any which way you want. You can download it as a CSV file. So really a great way to make it your own, stay organized, and work with your team members and your clients and letting them know what's going on with all these different projects and things that you need to keep on top of. But keeping an eye on the time here, I know that one other feature that we talked about a little bit was, many of us aren't AutoCAD experts. I know that I am not, but Houzz Pro does make it very, very easy. So you have some ways where you can measure a space with your phone when you're out on the site. It's a very intuitive, smart app where you can basically pull the dimensions and then you can bring it back into your computer when you get to the office. And you can see with just very few clicks of a button, you can add in different structures from doors to fireplaces to windows. You can add products that are more of these space holders that can help your client visualize what you have in mind. And then, of course, you can even use realistic type products that you might find on Houzz if you're sourcing from Houzz. But it's just an amazing, amazing tool. And you can see that you can add paint, wall colors, cabinetry, countertops, even doorknobs on those cabinets you can customize. Just to really give them what this is going to look like when you get into their space and kind of redo and make their vision come to life. So there's a walkthrough, a floor plan, a dollhouse that you can collaborate back and forth with. But
Chloe, really quickly, a question coming in. I mainly do virtual design or e-design, so need the ability to make mood boards in addition to space planning. Does the software have a mood board feature?
We sure do. Yeah. So mood boards, I'm going to pop over to really quick. These are just kind of like your inspirational place. Maybe before for e-design or before you may get into building the documents from proposals and invoices, you need to make sure you're kind of on the same page with what you're thinking about. These are so easy to use. You can use your own product list from things that you have clipped with the Houzz Pro Clipper. You can pull in different items from, again, like your library, from Houzz itself. You can brand these with your logo that you would upload into Houzz Pro. You can change the backgrounds on this document. If you don't like it stark white, you can make it a little bit more warm. You can reorder images. You can size them as you would prefer. This item, you can see this rug, I kind of skewed it to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I can hit that skew button to drag out the front corners and really make it something that helps articulate the vision that I have. But you can add text, you can layer items, you can remove the backgrounds on images. If you upload something and you want to take off that maybe gray background to make it white so it looks right. You can see even this table, like the rug appears behind it. That's because that background was removed. So another really fantastic tool to just, again, collaborate with your clients and make these things kind of feel a little bit more realistic before the construction and fun stuff happens. One other thing that I'll just point out quickly, because I know we're running out of time, but there was a question on timelines. And this is a feature that we do have on Houzz too. So if you need to stay organized with your projects across the board, you can have a Gantt chart for any projects that you're running. But I'm going to just dive into one as a very basic demonstration on what you do have. And again, you name it, we got it on Houzz Pro. But there is Gantt chart functionality for your projects where you can share with subs, you can share with your clients, you can create dependencies, add notes. You can make these as robust as you would like. So as things may get delayed, you can move them around depending on those dependencies that you do create. You can customize names, assign them to team members, or to even clients in particular. Many different things that you can do here. But the last thing I'll point out is for that transparency's sake is we do have also a client dashboard. So if you want to avoid getting texted really late at night and finding out what's going on and when am I going to expect this, this can be your central hub of communication. And they can go in there and you can encourage your clients to find everything that they need from a task list, a timeline, documents that need payment. All those things will be right here within Houzz Pro. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe. Obviously, that was a very quick, high-level overview. There's so much more to share. Junior, if you want to come back on, I definitely want to make sure that I know, Ann, you're amazing. She was typing some answers to your questions, and I know there's a lot of questions. I do want to be mindful that we're going to wrap here at 1 o'clock Pacific time. One question coming from the audience here, I see for Ann is, how do you price out full service, i.e. estimating installation fees and contractor fees versus just design services?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't provide those quotes. So the only quote we give a client is for our design fees. Anything related to subcontractors or a GC, they have to price out their own hours, and everything that goes, depending on the scope of work, goes into their job. So we keep that very separate. There's no marriage of that happening.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then obviously, if you guys have any questions for Junior, definitely type them in the chat button there. You guys are doing a great job on the Q&A. I know it's a little bit challenging, but it looks like we've answered a lot of these. And then I had one kind of other question for you, Ann, was maybe you can share with us one quick example where, a recent client, something happened. Maybe there's a fire drill. Maybe there's an issue with lead time, something where you found Houzz Pro extremely instrumental to your business.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that probably, and this again, it's not the sexiest of answers, but we're purchasing so many products. And for all of you guys on the phone right now, some of you might be very small and you have 3 clients, but I believe you're going to grow. The management of all of the products is truly, it's a full-time job, or at least a part-time admin job at the very, very minimum. And recently, we are in the midst, we're in a lot of procurement and purchasing seasons right now with a lot of our clients. It happens to be all at the same time. And so the detail and organization that Houzz Pro is giving us so that we can focus on selling and doing other things has been instrumental for us. Like right now in this season, literally, we haven't had any emergencies or, oh my gosh, a client's calling on, such and such, because we send them a weekly status and we attach their reports and we attach everything that's going on so they know where everything stands. So we try to get ahead of it so there's not any emergencies, which of course emergencies happen and things come up. But I would say just holistically, the project management of all of the products, it's saving us right now. I could never do that apart from the organization that Houzz Pro is giving us and then we're giving to the clients.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? Time saving. And then just to kind of wrap up, and I know, just to give our audience here maybe 3 key takeaways, your biggest pieces of advice. Sorry, I should have prepped you for this. If you just had to sum it up into 3 of your biggest takeaways that you've learned since you attended the Haven workshop a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's great. I would say consistently invest in yourself for your business by way of going to trainings and webinars. And the thing that you're doing now, I commend everyone for being here. Hopefully you've learned at least one thing and it's been worth your time. But things like the Haven workshop and, whatever that looks like, I try to do once a quarter because I'm a little crazy. Do once a year, do twice a year, or allocate X amount of dollars to do that because your returns will always be there. So the self-investment since the Haven list, without question. Giving back. So I feel like I've been given so much. Like Risa, I have to thank for, introducing me to Houzz Pro, and Melissa and Danya and the team at the Haven list. Like I want to pay that forward. And I think everything that we learn, how do we be a real good community of interior designers and help each other? I don't ever want to be a designer that's not willing to share all that I've been given and all that I've learned. Like I want to share it all and help people. So I think that's another big thing, because the communities that I've built since the Haven list are incredible, and we all help each other in our businesses, and we all have different strengths and weaknesses, so we can complement each other, which is amazing. I would say the other thing, this is just a little fluffy, but just keep dreaming, keep going. It's hard. It's hard right now. Things are busy. Mistakes happen, but you're meant for this. You're made for this. And I just believe that, again, when we think about the crux of what we're doing, and I remind my team of this all the time, we're creating spaces for people to have better moments at home, for connectivity to happen, for lives to be better. We're not curing cancer, and we're not, so when emergencies come up, we try. I'm not always the best leader at it, but I try. Ultimately, we're fostering a better life for somebody. That's the crux of what we do. And we have all these amazing people and programs and systems to help us do that, for people to live well in their homes. So keep that top of mind, keep going. You guys are amazing.
That's really good feedback. You're amazing. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, Julia, and the Haven workshop, and for having us. The workshop has been so instrumental in so many different lights of not just Ann's business, but so many different designers that I personally have worked with, that Chloe's worked with. And it really drums up our same idea, our same belief: community over competition, bringing designers together, sharing, knowledge is power. And that's really why we're here today. That's why I believe in what I do. That's why Ann's been so successful, and she's adopted her own educational courses as well. So I know that you guys have an upcoming workshop, and luckily Chloe got to attend the last one. Hopefully I'll be able to come to the next one. And thank you so much again for having us today. Definitely, we will be sure to follow up with everybody so that you have our contact information if you have any questions. And thanks again for hosting us today.
Of course, we are so happy to be able to bring everyone together. Community over competition all day, every day. We love that Ann has been so open and sharing everything that she's learned. That's really what it's about, is boosting up the community around you. If anyone does have any questions, I will wrap it up because we've been here for quite some time now, but if anyone does have any questions, you can reach out to Melissa at the Haven list, Danya at the Haven list, find us on Instagram. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Super appreciate it. Thanks again, Chloe and Ann, for joining us as well. And we'll see you all soon.